Now you have a reason to be scared of the bath. Here's your look at the Numskull horror tubs. Your favorite video game, movie, TV show, and comic book characters come to life as cosplaying ducks. There's 11 to collect in the horror tubs range. Come with a collector's bathtub display box with the ability to stack on top of other tubs. Just to warn some of you, this review may result in you stopping bathing altogether. For anyone that's concerned about then the hygiene of the people you're living with, don't blame me. Blame the folks over at Numskull. Speaking of Numskull, I'd like to thank the folks over at Numskull that did provide a few of their samples of horror tubs that we could have a look at in this video. They were nice enough to send over Reagan from The Exorcist, the Annabelle doll, and the nun Valak. But they have a whole wide range of other horror tubs you can check out certainly over on their website and through various online sites where they sell them. One thing actually interesting about the nun Valak and Annabelle is I think they're both limited to only 3,000 copies worldwide. If you guys are interested, pick these up for yourself. All of them, by the way, are inside currently their bathtub dishes, their rubber ducky dishes. I'm going to actually just slide these back right now, the Valak and the Annabelle doll. I'm just going to actually bring out Reagan for right now. Of course, as I always do, I want to bring out my tape measure as well, just in case you guys are curious as to how big these are. From the tail to what normally would be the front of Reagan, but of course her head's turned all the way around. That's disturbing. You're looking here at the tubs being about 4 inches, actually exactly 4 inches in length. And that works out to be about 10 centimeters long. Then from the bottom to its top, just getting the tape measure in order here. From the bottom to the top, you're looking again at the tubs being about 3.5 inches in height, or I would safe to say about 8.5 centimeters tall. The neat thing they've also done with the packaging of their tubs is to go ahead and put Reagan back in her soap dish. Just move her over here and actually grabbing the top of her container here. I've stacked these together, probably a little tighter than I expected them to be. Just remove one of them. And if you put them back on, if you are somebody that likes to keep your tubs sealed, then what you can actually do, though, is you can then stack them on top of one another. If you look at the top of the dome, indented on the corners are little embossed, indented, like I said, little indented half circles that if you then can then take the rubber ducky dish, it actually sits perfectly just on top of it. So you can actually stack them on top of one another. I won't be doing that, mind you. I like the idea of displaying tubs of any size, of any genre. I like to display them loose on my shelf. I actually have already looked at in the past the How the Grinch Stole Christmas tubs, if you've had the chance to check out that video. If you have, thank you for that. Let's go ahead and just take the dome off here, releasing the evil. And what we'll do is we'll have a look at these. Now, all of them actually have the same rubber ducky dish. The only thing that's done differently on the black cast plastic is they have different logos. Of course, the logos fitting for each of the movies that the characters appear in. The Nun, The Exorcist, and Annabelle. Maybe what we'll look at first is Annabelle. There's a reason. There's a method to my madness. Again, to remove it, the dishes are exactly the same to one another. And then again, on the back, or on the bottom, you've got a little barcode and just where they've been manufactured. Nothing really of importance there. Put those to the side. Getting a closer look at Annabelle, though. What's a little eerie about Annabelle is the way they've actually colored the eyes. The eyes sort of have a blank, almost lifeless stare to them. Perhaps not even a good idea to have it so close to the camera like this. This deadness of eyes really is offsetting to me. But again, it looks like Annabelle certainly is a doll, but just made into a duck instead. One of the appealing things I like about the tubs is the fact that they're taking characters of pop culture, primarily my favorite being the genre of horror, and finding a way to turn them into rubber duckies. You've got the little braids there on the sides, tied off in bows, and she's got their really frilly dress done here in white. Now, I would imagine, like all the other rubber ducks, I haven't actually done these with any of the tubs because I collect them more as collectibles, not something I'm going to be putting in any little bodies of water. But I would imagine you'd be able to float these in water as they'd be bobbing up and down as you'd be washing your body. I probably don't think that's a great idea, especially with the likes of these characters being in the same body of water that you're sharing while you're washing up for the night. But again, like the idea there's a little hole in the bottom, they are slightly more on the softer side. And if you squeeze it, you can actually hear, not the releasing of souls, I would hope, but it does make that kind of familiar rubber ducky sound. It's not as squishy as rubber duckies I would have had growing up. Those old rubber duckies you could really squeeze, but these ones, a lot more of a harder plastic. Again, they're more collectible than anything else. Like the Annabelle, but I like the other two, I think, a little bit more. Just going to put Annabelle back in her soap dish, and hopefully she's not going to be moving it at all anytime soon. Let's look at Reagan next. Again, the actual dish itself is exactly the same. Just going to put that to the side. The neat thing about Reagan, like in the movie, she has her head, instead of here, it's turned around this side here. What I like is little touches of detail, like, for example, the cracked lips. Of course, instead of lips, it'd be the bill of the duck. It looks like there's some few remains of whatever she's eaten, vomited all over the poor priest and his hired help. But yeah, just really gruesome the way they've actually put on the little green vomit slime all over the bottom of her bill. She's got cracks all over her face. Not as blank of a stare as Annabelle, but still pretty eerie to look at. She is wearing her nightgown. Again, you can see, I mean, she's vomited all over the place. Just, I hate to bring that up, but okay, I did actually technically bring it up. You can see, like, again, all the green stains all across the front of her nightgown. Very nicely painted as well. And again, you've got the little air hole on the bottom, so I don't know. It's probably not going to be making much, again, of these sounds. They're not, as again, soft as what you would expect for a rubber ducky, but again, a really, really cool looking detailed piece. Even got the little cracks on the back, on the bottom of her tail there as well. Fun piece is Reagan, but by no means not as cool, I feel, as Nun Valak. Valak is my favorite of the three that they provided to me. Again, you look at the rubber ducky soap dish, and it's got the nun printed there on the front. And again, you got the little feet there on the bottom of it. So at least if you are going to be putting it near anything that's water related, it raises it. It keeps it lifted from the surface. So again, any water can run underneath it. I think that's the whole reasoning why they put those little feet on the bottom of rubber ducky dishes or soap dishes, so that there's actually an opportunity where the water can actually still run underneath it. Talking too much about soap. Getting, though, a closer look at Nun Valak, and by easily my favorites of the three that were provided. I really like the look of Nun Valak quite a lot. I'm a big love of Nun Valak anyways. Anytime there's a collectible, anything of any sorts for Valak, I always try to pick that one up, and I really like the look of this one quite a lot. Again, you got a lifeless stare, but in this case, very bright in the eyes, very bright yellow. And of course, a little bit of reflection there in the corners of the eyes. You got, again, these cracks that they've painted nicely, panel lined in black. But again, you've got this really dark area black that's been airbrushed to the front of the bill. The bill, by comparison, actually, when you look at the other two tubs that we've looked at, both the bills, even the one that's covered in puke, seems a much more traditional yellow color. Where Valak, just not only the coloring of the fur, I guess, would a duck still have fur or feathers? Feathers. Not only are the feathers lighter, but the bill is also noticeably lighter as well. Of course, you do also have the little cross there down below on the necklace. She is wearing her habit. Good, hard habit to pass on. You can also see the little wings also sticking out the side. I really like the detailing that they've sculpted into this. Natural wrinkles that would be developing, whether you're on an evil entity nun or you're actually a rubber ducky. Either way, they've actually done a really good job of sculpting this. Paint is very bright on this one. Of the three, like I said, my favorite, though, is the Nun Valak. Very, very cool. Not everyone's cup of tea. I can certainly understand. It's more of a niche market. But if you're a big fan of, like, horror stuff, for example, like I am, you always try to find an interesting line of collectibles out there that do horror things a little bit differently. And one thing I do really like that Numskull's been doing with their Tubbz line, they have been doing Tubbz in the past, but by now doing the horror Tubbz. It's a line that not only was I interested in to get in the first place, but certainly a line I want to continue to start collecting above and beyond the three that we looked at in this video. While I may not suggest that you bathe with Tubbz, you can certainly collect Tubbz. And the neat thing about the line is that Tubbz, there's so many different characters to choose from. Numskull have covered a lot of pop culture. Now, we looked at horror ones, obviously, in this review, but they've covered a whole wide range of different franchises that you may be very familiar with. I would definitely encourage you, if you guys get the chance, to check out their website. In fact, Tubbz is pretty common to find. Some of the site locations that you can even find them over on Amazon as well. They're reasonably priced as well, so you're not going to be breaking the budget if you're looking to get into a new line of collectibles. I really would say, like, if you're into collecting horror, for example, and you're thinking to yourself, I think I've collected almost everything that there is horror, then start looking at the Tubbz and you realize there's another rabbit hole you'll be very willing to go down. Liking the look of these three quite a lot. I really like actually the ones that they did choose to send my way. My favorite of the three is Valak, which I didn't actually mention in this review, but I think she does actually have glowing eyes. Glow-in-the-dark eyes. That makes things even a little bit more haunting. But of the three that Numskull had provided, what is your favorite? Let me know down below in the comments section. And again, once again, I'd like to thank the folks over at Numskull that did provide 3 of the samples of their horror line of horror tubs that we can have a look at in this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. If you're loving the content you guys are seeing and certainly do want to stick around for more, rubber duckies or not, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the bell notification. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.